My next upload for today is with regard to the public opinion of married mothers in this country, that is a democracy, with regard to the matters of the offences that I'm unduly experiencing as a royal sacred. So, as I've mentioned throughout all of these uploads, the Honourable Government have been made aware of my circumstances since 2017. Now, I gave birth to a precious child in 2015, and there has been absolutely no acknowledgement with regard to the offences that him and I have been experiencing. The offences have continued, the offences have been persistent, the trespassing, the intruding, etc., and that they have all just been continuously perpetrated in this vendetta or agenda of hate crime, treason, and constitutional wrongdoings and human rights abuses. So, as a mother that has had to self heal from medical negligence and bodily integrity violations that I've also endured, the issue of the representatives of the democracy disrespecting my humanitarian work that, as I've said in my previous upload, initiated not just world reform but debt recovery, for the honourable representatives that are only elected representatives disrespecting the constitutional rights of royal patronage in this country. I'd really appreciate the opinion of the married mothers out there that are aware that my child has been unlawfully withheld from me. My child has been traumatized. My professional work has been pillaged and looted. My work as a mother has been disrespected. And as a married mother, experiencing what I'm experiencing while people are consumed with land of my ancestors and my matrimony, it's really disrespectful that this work that I have conducted and that I have contributed positively to Irish society is being disrespected to accommodate wrongdoings and falsehoods and slander and defamation that are all quite dangerous. So I really appreciate the opinion of women, professional and women that aren't working, unemployed women, all sorts of opinions are very valid and important, and I'd really appreciate women acknowledging from an unemployed perspective what their opinion would be when professional theft is occurring, when creative intellectual theft is occurring, and when individuals are exploiting a person's work for their own monetary gain. So those women that have an opinion with regard to women and children's rights, I'd appreciate you acknowledging what problems have been caused for me as a married mother unduly in Tralee County, Kerry, Ireland. The issue of mental health practitioners that have preyed upon me on behalf of those of offences like facilitating adultery, facilitating child abuse, facilitating financial fraud. These are all culprits of offences against the state, and the individuals that are of unlawful detainments and of slander of my track record. I have not a blemish on my track record, and I'm experiencing undue and unforgivable offences. So I'm really curious what the honourable representatives of the country surmise from exploitation of a qualified professional of royal patronage and property of my ancestors and my matrimony. I'm really curious what the honourable representatives are feeling about this situation since 2017. It's 2021 now, and I've been waiting 5 years for my child, and not once have the honourable representatives fulfilled their obligations. So there are individuals that are obviously disturbed and that have been of awful furore in this community to cause unlawful detainments to a recovery advocate of sanity and sobriety, while I've been tolerating the insanity of individuals that have been disturbing the peace, that have walked away from the problems they have caused. They have trespassed upon me in this current abode, as I've mentioned. The authorities have had the experience of transformation since 2018, 2019 as a consequence of my work. There has been disrespect to the concept of courage and bravery. There are offences against my nuptials occurring, and there's a child missing from my care. So I'm really curious how this is weighing up in the scales of justice, and the entire situation of progress with regard to right and wrong. The government has an obligation to my royal patronage. It's very simple. And my role in legislation at home and abroad and debt recovery has helped many along the way. So I'm really curious how the elected representatives aren't fulfilling their duties to the constitution and to the royal patronage of the democracy. And I'm really curious how liabilities and culprits of repeat offences that are obviously suffering from a mental matter that I am not comfortable or acquainted with, that are trespassing into a building where they have no right to be. They have been of slander of my character since 2017 and 2018, and they have disrespected the role of the Mental Health Commission. They've disrespected the role of healthcare providers in this country, and they are of repeat offences. I'm a peaceful tenant, and I've been threatened with eviction to accommodate individuals that have been responsible indirectly for physical abuse that I unduly experienced trying to safeguard my parameters last Saturday week at about 11 or 12 o'clock at night, when I'm tolerating intruders imposing upon my abode where they have no right to be. So I'm wondering what the authorities and the honourable representatives are feeling about these kind of liabilities in society that have not been respecting the role of healthcare providers, reputations, the individuals that have been responsible for defamation of my character and that have been of repeat offences, very serious nonsense, to be very quite honest about it, and nonsensical exacerbation. These kind of liabilities are still loose in civil society, and they're a risk to other people's families when they are being accommodated. They're a liability to other people's children also. So I'm just wondering about the level of responsibility that the relevant representatives of the state are able to demonstrate against these kind of liabilities with loose tongues and dirty hands in a situation where they have no right to be imposing trespassing onto my private property in 2017 and causing unlawful detainments and breaching confidentiality and slandering my character. I'm really concerned about their level of sanity to have exacerbated this problem as much as they have, because it's already quite dangerous that a royal child is from his mother. It's already quite dangerous what has happened to my son, and it's really quite dangerous that there are people in my home in Tubbard Hill and my farm holdings in Kilflynn without my permission. So as a humanitarian, as an educator, the individuals that are trespassing and disturbing the peace and exploiting my creative and intellectual work, I have repetitively addressed this issue formally and informally with the relevant state agencies and bodies, and having worked with 3 state departments without a blemish, I take exception to the fact that there are individuals taking liberties with regard to my accomplishments, achievements, credentials, and my ancestry. It's all quite serious as a sacred royal to be tolerating this level of disrespect, especially when there have been so many people helped along the way. It disrespects the level of progress that has been achieved, and it disrespects the lay of the land. So those that have imposed upon my family, that have imposed upon my child, and that are obstructing progress are not serving the greater good. They're not for the betterment of society, and they're harming directly and indirectly other people's families as well when trying to monopolise, dominate or control in a false premise that I'm highly concerned for with regard to their level of comprehension of the former failings and wrongdoings and offence that they've already caused. So I'd really appreciate a little bit of courage and bravery from the relevant agencies and bodies. As I've mentioned, I'm to be reimbursed for a lot of loss, and I'm also due a lot of reparations. So I'm just really wondering, with regard to the exploitation and the monetary gains from my work, I'm really curious about the mentality or the insanity of these individuals that are taking liberties with a humanitarian property owner, married mother, etc., who has really achieved positive progress for one and all, that is being disrespected, and that is just a sad sign of the times. So I'm unabashedly presenting the facts of my curriculum vitae as a level 9 a qualified professional on the National Education Framework. It's really insulting to the role of education in society as well. So I'd appreciate the elected representatives reminding themselves that they are only elected and that there is nothing set in stone with regard to disposability of married mothers whose children have been unlawfully withheld from them. Disposability, displacement,